Alright, so today what we're going to be doing is the Window to the Soul tutorial. So about this point in time, you guys know how to do pretty much a lot of the things in Photoshop, and nothing has really changed except for we're doing some FX blending options. So this is an example of what it's going to look like in the end. So I'm going to minimize this, and what we need is some sort of character. Go ahead and open that up in Photoshop. See. And then you also need a background opened up in Photoshop. Okay, so I have my background, I have my character, and now I need to place it on a document. So I have to go to File, New, and I'm going to make mine inches. And I'm going to do, let's see, 11.7 inches wide by 16.5 inches high. And that's just a standard A3 size printing paper. And then I'm going to hit OK. We have to copy and paste both things into the document. So Control A, Control C, Control V. Go to your BART layer, Control A, Control C, Control V. Now you're going to have to adjust the size of everything. So Control T and adjust your size. And you want your character to be off-centered. So it makes sense for my character to be over here or over here. So I'm going to put mine over here. I'm going to hit OK or the check mark. And then I have to go to the Springfield layer. It's underneath BART, so I can either click BART off or I can move it to the top. But I need to make sure that I'm on that particular layer. So I'm going to click the eyeball off, Control T, and enlarge my subject. And you want to be careful not to get a pixelated image. Right now it looks pixelated just because I'm in the Control T function, but once I hit Enter OK, it's clear. So I'm going to turn the BART layer back on, and I'm going to turn the Springfield layer off. You can also turn the background layer off. Make sure that you're on the BART layer, and you want a character with a white background. I chose something that was a PNG, so all the white is gone. I'm going to go ahead and paint that in using the Paint Bucket tool. I want white. Here we go. So I have a white background for BART. I have the Springfield layer underneath. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete BART off of the screen. So in order to do that, the best tool for me is the magic wand. You can pick whatever tool that is best for you to cut out. Like you can use magnetic lasso, polygonal lasso, quick selection, but I'm just going to pick the magic wand. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the white spot, which selects the background. And I want BART to be selected instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the inverse is selected. I notice that my shadow is not altogether white, so I'm going to go back and fix that real quick by using the magic wand, and I'm going to paint that in white real quick. You want your whole background to be white. So going back to the magic wand, I'm going to hit the background. You can even get little cracks and crevices by hitting Shift and adding to that selection, like I added in between his legs. And then in order to get BART selected, I have to right-click, select Inverse, and now the ants are marching around BART so that I can just hit Delete on the keyboard, and he is now deleted. Now I want to paint the background, so in order to do that, I again have to right-click, select Inverse, and I want to paint that background a yellowy color. So I'm going to go in and try to find a good yellow that I want to use. And we're going to paint that on. Okay, and we're halfway done. So Control D to deselect. And something that you have to have on your pieces of art is a drop layer. So in order to do that, in the layers menu over here, there's something called that looks like FX. You're going to click that, it's going to add a blending option. So click FX, go to blending options, move this over, and you have to have at least a drop shadow on here. So click drop shadow, and how this works is you have to be on that Bart yellow layer. You can change the angle, you can change the distance, you can change the spread of your drop shadow, you can change the size of your drop shadow, but you want it to be rather natural. You can also change the opacity of that drop shadow. So that's 100%, it's full black. You don't want it full black. Again, you want it to look somewhat natural. You can also change the blending mode to be normal, darken burn, color burn, and you can also change the contour and the noise. So when you're done doing the drop shadow, what you're going to do is you can add a texture to the top of that layer. It just gives more depth and it makes it a little more interesting. So if I hit texture, I can select different types of patterns. So I can select this one, this one, this one, and it gives a little texture to all your pieces. I can hit the gear and load other textures as well. So if I want rock patterns, replace current patterns with patterns from rock patterns, hit OK. And now we have rock patterns. So there's all different kinds of patterns that you can do. You can upload different patterns if you want. You can change the scale of your pattern, and you can change the depth of your pattern. You don't want yours to look like this. You want it to be kind of subtle. So adjust it as needed. Okay. And then there's all different kinds of other options that you can play around with. But the biggest thing is that you need drop shadow and your texture on top. Go ahead and hit OK. From here on out, what you can do is you can add different kinds of text using dafont.com. So on my final one, I added The Simpsons. And then you have to do some kind of subtractive method on your piece. So how to do that is I go to my eraser tool. I select the type of brush that I want, and you want to select a brush that makes sense for the character and for what you're doing. So if I wanted little thought bubbles, I can just click on it, and it will reveal the background. And it'll also, if you notice, have the FX also on there. You don't want to go overboard with the eraser tool. You want to keep it pretty simple. Don't go overboard. So here I just did some simple little subtractive methods. And then something extra that you guys can do is you can add the eyes back or certain aspects back to your piece. Well, that's pretty much it.